Are we recording?
We are.
Oh! Well, hello.
And welcome
to the Sweating Palms podcast called Sweating Palms. I'm your host, Jenna, and you are?
Montana.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Oh my god, I feel like it's been so long.
I know. You haven't seen me in forever.
Oh my god, we do live together.
Oh, so I guess you did see me then.
Yes, but I have not heard your voice directly in both my earballs.
Your earballs?
Both of them. Yes.
Indeed.
So, you weren't here for last week's episode.
I was not.
You weren't.
I was. Oh, yeah. I wasn't on the podcast.
No, you were here.
I was here where we were where you were recording.
Me and Kara.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that briefly. Kara is, if you listened to the episode number 5,
Yes.
If you listened to episode number 5, you would have heard Kara's beautiful, lovely, darling voice because she was the co-host for that week. You can expect that to happen because you are a very, very busy man.
Me, yes, I am.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on over here.
Yeah, you do the work thing.
Indeed.
You do the school thing.
Indeed.
What are you going to school for?
Nursing anesthetism. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I should probably learn how to say that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
That's the idea anyway. We'll see.
So exciting. So you're working hard on the working and the schooling, and you also deal with me and my children inadvertently.
That's true. Yeah, they keep me pretty busy.
That's true. So, needless to say, between schooling and working and all of that good stuff, Montana needs a break sometimes. He's not going to be available to do all these things. And so Kara's going to be on here every so often. You can expect her voice. And I also have one other co-host on retainer whose identity I shall not disclose at this time.
It shall be a surprise.
Yes. However, I digress, and we can move on into our next order of business, which is what?
I'm not sure. You covered that Kara will be on for future episodes, right?
Yes, she will be. You can expect to hear her voice. How often? I'm not going to tell you. We're going to keep you guessing.
I have not listened. I have not had the opportunity to listen to that episode all the way through.
It's freaking gold.
I have heard snippets, and I am going to say that if you have not listened to that episode, you definitely should, because it was from the snippets that I heard.
So good.
And from when I locked myself in the bedroom so that they could record. There was a lot of laughter. So I think it sounded like a good time. So I would suggest listening to that episode.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. Another thing that I'd like to briefly touch on is that I've heard a little bit of feedback so far that people would like to know kind of which stories to have. People would like to know which stories we're going to have on the episode at the beginning of the episode.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Neither of us know at the beginning. I don't know what Montana's story is. Montana does not know what my story is. It's kind of just a surprise. So as much as I would love to provide you guys with some structure.
The trouble with announcing what we're going to do in the beginning is it's a surprise for both of us. And so we kind of lose some of the reaction if we tell you what's in the beginning. I will say, though, a good piece of feedback that we did receive is that some people may be more interested in the actual stories.
Yeah.
So we will start including timestamps in the descriptions or show notes or whatever. Where the stories begin. If you're, maybe you have a limited time.
If you're one of those people.
Yes, that are looking just for the story.
How rude, but understandable. So, perfect. Now, I think that we should just kind of get into it. So, is there anything that you want to kind of get off your chest, care to share?
I always have something and then I forget it as soon as you ask me.
I know.
Do you have something?
Yeah, it's kind of this, you've heard this before.
Okay.
Because this is almost like a re-recording, right?
Yes.
We tried to record earlier this week, but I was really sick and it kind of just wasn't vibing.
Yes.
Yes.
That's true.
So my care to share is kind of the same because I have, like I said, been super sick, and I'm starting to feel better, but I haven't done much or gone many places.
Well, you went to the doctor.
I did go to the doctor. I had to get tested.
And you did, well, which?
For the Rona, which I'm not showing. I don't think I have it.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
It was more to bring peace of mind to my place of work, to make sure that I am safe to come back to work and so that we don't have to shut down our location, which I'm okay with. I understand there's a lot going on and it would really suck if, on the off chance that I had it, that other people got it because I wasn't being careful or whatever. That being said, yeah, I did go to the doctor. That's pretty much the only thing I've done in the last 3 days.
Oh, man.
Yeah, crazy. So, but what I have been doing the last 3 days between sleeping, is like checking in on Facebook.
Well, that's a good pastime when you're sick.
Yeah.
But maybe not. We'll continue. I guess we'll find out. What did you discover on the Facebooks?
So I know that you're not on Facebook as much as I am, but it's kind of been a depressing place to be this year, especially because of everything that's going on in the world. It's just like, I feel like social media has been a place that I have like historically gone to like escape reality. And now it's like a place that people go to like get all of their news and like for them to know what to care about. And the latest thing has been the Save Our Children, like hashtag Save Our Children, talking about child trafficking, which is a huge issue. And I completely and totally understand why the things that have been trending have been trending. It's just really depressing to me because I'm like, I don't know what to do about it. And so it just leaves me like I'm on Facebook and I'm just feeling this hopeless, helpless feeling about life and the world in general. And there's nothing actionable. And it's like, share this. And if you don't share this hashtag, like, I don't know what happens if you don't share the hashtag, but
right. It's just
to keep it, like, I guess, to bring attention to it, which, like, this has been a problem.
And it is receiving a lot of attention.
It is receiving a lot of attention, and maybe people will take it seriously. And I guess, like, my big problem is I'm like, there is nothing actionable. There is nothing to do except for share a hashtag. Like,
yeah,
it's scary and it's terrifying. And I guess that my, like, main takeaway is that, like, parents, please, like, this starts in our homes. This starts with us. Meaning, like, we need to, like, it's kind of like the think global, start local. It's the same thing with this child trafficking in a sense, because we can start this in our homes. We can start by making sure that we are being open with our children and talking to our children about the dangers that are in the world and making sure that they know about stranger danger and making sure that they know the, like, anatomically correct words for their genitalia, because heaven forbid something happens to your child and you need to get a piece of shit child predator arrested. That child is going to have to know the actual name for their genitalia. They need to know the words penis. They need to know the word vagina because it's important. And also quit hiding, like, the family freaking creepo. Make them uncomfortable and out them. And I just feel like that's a really important thing to say right now. And I think it is something for those of us who are feeling really helpless and really overwhelmed by the situation. That is where it can start. Create this space for you and your children of openness and honesty and communication. Make sure they know that you can be a trusted adult. Make sure they know not to keep secrets. I think it just needs to start there, and it can go from there. And so I'm sorry that that's like a really depressing thing, but it has been so heavy on my mind for a long time.
Yeah. And I think it may be important to note is this gives some sort of action, right?
Yeah.
It's not, going to promise prevention.
Oh, no.
By any means. And I don't want it to be, I think sometimes when you're calling attention to something that can start in the home, it can be perceived as
somehow
victim
you
blaming
can make it stop. Yeah.
Right. Because you didn't do X, Y happened. And that is not at all what it is, right?
No.
This is just something, a big one for me that that you taught me, actually, or that I learned from you, I guess, is like this idea of like, don't tell your mom or don't tell your dad. And starts with these really small things, right? Like, don't tell them I give you ice cream, or don't, whatever it is, right? But it's easy to condition children to exhibit that sort of behavior. And so it starts with small things, slowly builds over time into more serious things, right? And so it's something to be aware of. And I think it goes back to that honest, open communication. And of course, that's not always easy.
It's not. It is not. And even if you come with the intent, I can speak from personal experience, even if you come with the intent of like, let's be open and honest and whatever, like sometimes they are their own people. Children are people, and they have feelings for what, stemming from wherever, where they just don't want to share things with you sometimes.
Yeah. And I think that's okay, because they're people and they're, they have a right to their privacy type thing. But there's been times where even your kids will be like, oh, like, don't tell mom XYZ, right? And it's something really small. And after we had that conversation, it was, no, it's okay. We can tell her. Like, it's not going to be. And then if there's this, oh, I'm going to get in trouble, or I'm like, no, it'll be all right. Trust me.
Yeah, it's always better to tell the truth than it is to hide something from your parent, from a trusted adult. Yeah, no, it is such a big thing. And I had also had that thought, like, because I think when you say things like that, like, well, you need to teach your kids this, and well, you have to do that, and you get kind of this parent shamey thing going on.
Right.
Which sucks. Like, for sure it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, like, we can't protect our kids from everything.
Wrap
we
them
can
in bubble
help.
wrap.
Yeah.
I get it. I get the desire.
Exactly.
And it's very scary.
It is very scary. And like, I wish I could protect my kids from every little thing, but it's just more like bring an awareness to it. Make sure we're having these talks. Then at least, like, heaven forbid something happens to any of our kids, like, we are able to do something about it then. Like, or we are able to somehow protect them or equip them with, knowledge to move forward in life. I don't know. It's just the only actionable thing I could think of, because I've personally been feeling very helpless as a parent, and just hearing more and more tragedy and seeing hashtags isn't doing it for me. So that's just where I'm at right now.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. I think it is an important issue. And even if it is a little bit of a heavy topic,
it is for sure heavy.
That's what this section is for, to get it off your chest.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to be honest, mine's a lot lighter.
Okay. Well, that's fine. I know mine was really dark and twisty, so I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, that's okay. A lot of my get it off my chest moments or thought of the days or whatever are centered around people I work with, because I work with them a lot and I see them a lot.
Yeah.
And this one will be the same. I was riding with a coworker today that I don't talk to very often or see very often.
Okay.
and he is very quiet.
Okay.
He just doesn't say a lot, and that's okay.
Sure.
Like, nothing wrong with that. Just, I'm a person who, I consider myself introverted, but I am also very talkative, I suppose. You know, like I feel the pressure to be extroverted.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, it's kind of a quiet drive, and I'm just kind of thinking of things that come to mind, spurting random hot garbage off the top of my head. But let me tell you something that has confused and enraged me for a long time that was immediately put to rest by this quiet coworker and all of his wisdom.
Okay.
On a particular street in this city, there lies a store.
Oh.
This store, I don't know if I should name the name. I'm not going to name the name. I was about to, but it'll become clear why I'm not going to in a moment.
Sure.
This particular store sells prom dresses.
Okay.
It appears that that is all that it does.
Sure. That's a problem this year.
It sits there and has sat there for years.
Yes.
Prom happens once
a
year for each school.
Sure.
There can't be that many schools in the Spokane area because I imagine there are multiple shops. Mm-hmm. There are multiple places to buy dresses.
Yeah, there certainly are.
Right. So unless they're charging like $10,000 for a dress, in which case, that's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. No one needs to spend $1 bajillion on a prom dress. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm ranting to my coworker going, I just don't get it. How could they possibly keep, like, this is a brick and mortar building.
Yeah.
This isn't like a building they live in, right? Where it's like rent, this is my home/business. This is a straight business.
Oh, yeah.
That sits there with its lights off most of the time because prom is a seasonal business. And it is amazing to me that because dresses, like dress styles come in and out, right? Like, so you got to be moving that inventory.
Sure.
And it baffles me. I'm like, how is this possible? How can you have any sort of sustainable business that's profitable that allows you to like just sit there? Right? Yeah. Because Halloween stores, like if you notice, like are in and then out.
Yeah, sure.
Right? I get that.
Yeah.
But this one just sits there. And so I'm like on this, going crazy with this rant, taking it way too far, looking way too deep into it. I mean, even now I'm taking it way too far, looking too deep into it. My coworker sits there quiet for a minute and he goes, well, it's easy. And I say, what's that? He goes, well, obviously it's a front. And I go, what? And he goes, yeah, selling prom dresses and dealing cocaine.
Right.
And I sat quiet for a moment. And this, like, again, I don't hear from him very often.
That is my favorite thing when introverted people finally say something, because it is always the funniest shit they pop off with.
Oh, it was good, man.
That's awesome.
It was good. He goes and he says, yeah, it's just a shell. It's a shell corporation.
Right.
They're just moving drugs out of the back. And I go, it all makes sense. I said years of frustration trying to figure it out, and you solved it. Thank you.
There it was. Why hadn't I ever considered drugs?
Yeah, and he then goes on to list a bunch of businesses that he thinks are shell corporations.
Like what?
He goes, Hobby Lobby? For sure.
I respectfully disagree, though, because I have personally
you're
spent...
a Hobby Lobby maniac.
I'm a Hobby Lobby hoe.
Hobby Lobby hoe.
I may not agree with their political stances, but I certainly agree with them deals. Actually, I don't agree with those either. They always say that they're marked 30% off, and they're not actually marked 30% off. They just say that they are so that they get more sales. Anyway, sorry.
Good marketing scheme.
Yeah. Always say everything's on sale. Then people feel like they have to do it. Anyway.
The other one he gave, and this was a really good one. He said Long John Silver's.
That's true. Who has ever been to a fucking Long John Silver's?
That's what he said.
Literally.
He was like, I go, how do you know? Because this is one of the first ones he told me. I say, well, how do you know? And he looks at me like inquisitively, like, I gotcha, right? He gives me that look and he goes, have you ever seen one full? I mean, ever. Have you ever seen one full? And I was like, dude, I always see an empty parking lot. You're totally right. That is a front for something else.
So true. I think that the last time I went to a Long John Silver's was when I was in elementary school. So
years ago.
Like 15 years ago.
And if
Wait, how old was I 15 years ago? Sure. I don't know. I don't know math.
Math is hard.
Math is very hard. Definitely like a long time ago. Never bought Long John Silver's in my life. We're going to pretend like that didn't happen. Keep going.
Okay. Yep. Keep it rolling. So anyway, that was my thought of the day. That went on for a while. Sorry for the rant, but
that's okay. I enjoyed it.
That was bugging me for a long time. And then this very quiet, it's always the quiet ones that say the most powerful things. Yes. So thank you, unnamed coworker.
Awesome. That's awesome. So, and we have stories. We shall get into the stories. Are you going first?
It is entirely up to you.
You're going first.
I'm going first?
Oh, yeah, you are.
That clap was not an edit clap. That was me. Excited clap.
We're just really excited.
Okay.
Whoop. He has notes.
I do.
I'm really excited because this isn't a story that you told on our previously recorded episode, which was also a good one.
I did like that story, but unfortunately, I just think both of us were not jibing.
A little out of it. Sure. So what is the story?
So I want to give full credit to where I got the story from.
Okay.
I think that's really important.
Oh, absolutely.
So this came from National Geographic Live.
Oh.
I found it on YouTube myself, and I would highly suggest looking at that. What?
I'm sorry. You said it. I Googled it. I YouTubed it myself. But Nat Geo did all the work, really.
Yeah, they did. I
like how you gave yourself credit where credit was due, though.
Thank you. I typed it into Google.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. Okay.
But I would suggest going and watching it. I'm going to cover, most of my information is from this presentation that was given.
Sure.
But they include the way, pictures, and it's just an incredible watch. And so I would suggest it. And it is called Alone on the Ice.
Ooh.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So I'll get into it, though.
All right. I'm interested. I'm already on...
Buckle up, because this one's a ride.
On pins and needles.
This one is a ride.
All right.
Okay. So there is a team of researchers.
Not researchers.
I know. The weird kind.
They are? What do they do? What do they research?
Well, so a couple of these guys, one is named Robert Falcon Scott, and the other is Roald, what I believe is Amundsen. I don't know.
What?
These words are hard.
I want to get
Roald, R-O-A-L-D. Roald. Let's go with Roald. Amundsen.
Okay.
So these guys are... we're going to go to the South Pole.
Ooh.
Okay. They're going to race to the South Pole.
Okay.
That's their thing. Okay.
They're racing.
I guess so.
To the South Pole.
To the South Pole, Antarctica.
You weren't at our elementary school in the first grade?
I was there, yeah.
Not in the first grade?
No, I wasn't.
No, you weren't. But we did a whole section in the first grade about the South Pole and the North Pole, and we did this thing about penguins, and I just remember in the maybe January, going outside and it's so cold out, and we were waddling like penguins with our teacher and going on this scavenger hunt in the snow, and that's all I can think of when I think of the South Pole. Anyway, go on. They're racing to the South Pole.
Yes. Okay. Now there's another guy.
Another one.
And he is the protagonist of our story.
Ooh.
His name is Douglas Mawson.
I'm sorry, the protagonist or the antagonist?
The protagonist.
Oh, he's the hero.
Yes.
Okay.
Douglas Mawson says going to the South Pole is dumb.
I think Douglas Mawson's dumb.
So he decides he's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I mentioned the other two people is because what they were doing overshadowed what he was doing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know this story, I guess, because the world was really enamored with what these other guys were doing. Okay. So Dawson decides he wants to survey other parts of Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
And with no interest in the South Pole, obviously.
Sure.
So he puts a team together, and it's an expedition crew. There's 31 of them. Average age is 24 years old.
Okay.
He himself is Australian, and it's said that a third of the crew had never seen snow.
Wow.
Had never even gone camping. A lot of them wrote in their journals like, "Oh, I slept in a sleeping bag for the first time."
Oh my gosh. When was this?
This was in 1911, I believe.
Oh, okay. So it was a hot ass minute ago.
Yes.
All right.
This
cool.
is some ancient history type stuff over a century ago.
Sure.
Yeah. So Frank Hurley is the photographer of the trip, and he takes some pretty phenomenal pictures. What I think is funny is it's mentioned that his mother wrote a letter to Mawson saying, "Please don't take my son on your expedition. He will definitely die."
Oh no.
Which is something my mom would totally do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, your mom and your dad probably.
No, my dad would not write anybody saying I would die.
He would just tell it to you.
He would just say, "You're going to die. Don't go." My mom would write somebody, and I'd go, "Mom, are you kidding me? I'm 20 whatever years old." Anyway.
That's so funny.
Okay, so these guys who have never seen snow, they get to Antarctica, and then they start having snowball fights.
Aww.
They're having a grand old time. And apparently, they're one of their favorite pastimes was pushing penguins into the water.
Oh, no, I don't like that.
I just imagine all these mid-20-year-old guys
like,
going to a
this
cliff
shit.
and just sliding a penguin down it straight into the water.
So rude. Oh, I hope none of those penguins got eaten.
Yeah, orcas just waiting on the bottom for
Freaking
them.
leopard
That'd be
seals and
terrible.
shit. That's terrible.
So the goal was he wanted to build a way station, a radio way station on an island, Macquarie Island. Okay, so the idea being that he would be the first expeditionist in Antarctica to have contact with the outside world. That's the goal. Because they get dropped off there by ship, like previous expeditions, and then the ship comes back for you.
Right.
And you can't contact anybody.
Wow.
So that's what he's doing.
Wow.
So he drops 5 guys off at this island.
Okay.
And he says, "Go raise yourself up a tower so that we can communicate."
All right.
And then the boat carries on.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is there are massive ice cliffs and nowhere for them to park.
Yes.
Yes.
Ice cliffs are terrifying.
They are huge.
So scary.
And they're mobile, and they like break all the time.
Yeah. Between ice cliffs, quicksand, and hot lava, I thought those were going to be like my top 3 as an adult issues that I had to overcome. And it turns out it's just like paying bills.
Which is the scariest of all.
It's really
We
the
need
worst.
to stop playing Floor is Lava and Rent is due late.
No, we need to start playing The Floor is Lava.
Oh.
And also have to deal with like the bills are never late, first of all, because I'm hella responsible. But
Good for you.
yeah, also like truly, I just needed to experience quicksand one time. I don't even know where you find quicksand.
I think there's certain beaches, certain places.
Like where?
Australia. I'm guessing only
Of fucking
because
course it's in Australia.
I'm guessing only because everything in Australia wants to kill you. I feel like quicksand.
Of course the beach wants to too.
Of course.
That's great.
Right.
Do they have volcanoes there?
I actually don't think so. We will have to consult our English Australian expert,
Rachel,
Rachel, our hero.
Oh, we talk about her every episode.
I know.
We must really love Rachel.
She's great. Okay, so then These people who are just surrounded by ice cliffs find a little bay.
Okay.
They name it Commonwealth Bay.
Okay.
Which just pisses me off. You're an expeditionist and you could name a bay anything you want and you name it Commonwealth Bay.
I named my Animal Crossing island Cape Doom.
I mean, that's better than Commonwealth Bay. Anyway, that severely irritated me.
Yeah, that does kind of suck. It was 1911-ish.
They didn't know this, but it is the windiest place on Earth at sea level.
Okay.
And their ship is just getting fudged up with ice.
Man.
Yeah. Sustained winds of 60 miles an hour, 24 hours a day through the entire month of May.
Dear Lord.
Holy cold.
Yeah.
Your balls would freeze off.
If I had balls, they would abso-freaking-lutely freeze off.
Yeah, that's where you're like, hey, go lick that, part of the ship over there, and then you got to chop off your buddy's tongue.
Have you ever done that?
I have.
Me too.
I never got stuck, though.
I did.
Oh.
I was by myself.
Oh, that's worse. So it wasn't even a peer pressure thing. It was just I'm going to lick a pole.
But I definitely saw a Christmas
How are you
Story.
Not dead from Corona?
Because Corona
I know it didn't
existed in this form.
Yeah, I know, but you're a pole licker.
You are too, apparently. I just did it when no one was looking, so it didn't even really happen.
Back to if the forest falls in a tree, does it make a sound?
I definitely did not tear off any of my taste buds.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So eventually they reach their destination.
Sure.
Okay, and they're staying in a little hut, and they have to...
Pizza Hut?
No, there's no Pizza Hut in Antarctica, although that would be a monopoly.
Okay, they get their little hut there.
Yep, and they have to crawl out of the roof hatches when the snow falls in the winter because the doors are buried.
Such a good time.
I know. These 31 men in a hut.
Holy fuck.
No Pizza Hut.
Sign me up. Come on.
The winds? I mean, I just really want people to understand what's going on in Antarctica, okay? You have this hut that they're crawling out of the roofs, okay? When they crawl out of the roofs, they have to use a pickaxe.
No.
Because the winds are so strong, they have to take a pickaxe, put it down in front of them, okay? Like... hoist themselves against the wind, and that's how they get around.
You're just so cold.
Oh my gosh.
It's not funny. It's just, why would you? And you've never even been in the snow. You know what? I've always wanted to know about snow. Why did I go to the coldest fucking place imaginable?
Oh, man. With the coldest winds, there's some brilliant...
I literally cannot imagine.
I can't express how important it is after listening to this episode that you research Frank Hurley's photographs, because it will give you a sense of just how cold it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's two more main characters of our story, and these are the two main ones besides Mawson.
Okay.
So one of them is Xavier Mertz from Switzerland.
Oh.
He is 28 years old. He is a lawyer.
Oh, what?
But apparently he's very athletic.
He's an athletic, adventurous lawyer.
Yes.
Okay.
And along with him, you have Belgrave Ninnis.
Okay.
He's 26. He is a soldier of the British Army.
Oh.
Or whatever they call it. The British military forces.
Sure.
So this group of 31 men decide they are going to set off all in different directions in parties of 3 to get like a survey of the land.
Okay.
So our main characters, Xavier Mertz, who I will now call Mertz, Ninnis, and Mawson.
Yeah.
All head out.
Sure.
Okay. The goal is they're going to hike 350 miles to this little area and back. They have some sledges and some dogs to help them out.
Okay.
And they set off on this journey. Now, this journey is full of like unimaginable, indescribable, jagged mess of ice. This is not like a flat, like...
Oh, no. I remember first grade. They told us all about it.
Tons of ice cliffs, tons of just treacherous crap. There's chasms, there's crevasses. It's terrible.
Terrible.
Okay. So they go and they make it a fair part, like 300 miles into their journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're 5 weeks away from the hut.
Mm-hmm.
And they've crossed 1 million crevasses. Everything's going good. Mertz signals back to Mawson.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, there's a crevice here. Okay, but, it sounds like whoosh, like the wind's blowing like 1 billion miles an hour. So, signaling
so it carried
them.
about 2.5 inches.
Right. So then Mawson signals back to Ninnis. Okay. Mawson decides he's going to take the sledge with the weakest dogs and have the sledge with the supplies that are not the most critical.
Okay.
With the idea that if he falls through what's called a snow bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know this, but a snow bridge is snow that's piled up between a giant gap.
Yeah. You want to know how I know that?
First grade?
First grade.
I wasn't there. My first grade sucked.
Yeah, because you was in Texas.
Yep.
Snow bridge.
Snow bridges, yes, which is just terrifying. You could just walk on the snow bridge and you just fall.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first two guys make it through. Mawson looks at his buddy up front and I guess he looks alarmed. So he looks back for Ninnis and he's nowhere to be seen.
No more Ninnis.
No more Ninnis.
Oh, Ninnis, no.
And this is kind of where the tragedies really start happening.
Yeah.
So they go back and they find a hole in the snow bridge.
Yeah.
And they look over the edge and they see a dead dog.
Oh, no.
A dog with a broken back.
Oh, no.
And parts of the sledge.
No.
They can't see their friend. That's all they see.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific, honestly.
I'm sick to my stomach. That's so sad.
For 3 hours, they're screaming his name. They're trying to get him to respond. This crevasse, they had some cord. They didn't have any rope. The cord was 150 feet, and they didn't reach the bottom.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who knows how far he fell, but he's dead.
He's gone. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. He didn't make it. Just, there's no later he recovered, survival, anything like that.
No, and it's so cold. Even if somehow by some act of God, he made it through that ridiculous fall, which certainly he did not. It's so freezing that there would be no way. That's
no chance.
So sad.
Yeah. So 26, my age, your age, our age. It's crazy. Then a pretty horrible realization sets in. All but 1.5 weeks worth of food
was on his thing
for the people and none of the food for the dogs.
Oh, no.
So the food for all the dogs was on that sledge and all but 1.5 weeks worth of food. And remember, they're 5 weeks out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
So they're like, we're in trouble.
My palms are sweating.
They start going back as fast as they can, and they take a different route that's a little less treacherous.
Okay.
They think.
Sure.
Which, it's amazing to me, the navigation skills that must be required. Right? There is no trail being hey, go this way, you idiot. Yeah. I would have been dead just getting there.
Oh, yeah.
I get lost. I got lost on a hiking trail.
You can barely get yourself out of this neighborhood.
I know. This neighborhood is really confusing, though.
There's 2 ways out.
It's confusing. Okay. The weakest dogs is all they have, and those weakest dogs pull as long as they can.
Oh, my gosh.
And so then, I keep forgetting his name. Mawson and Mertz. Mawson and Mertz decide they're going to shoot one of the dogs.
No.
So they kill one of the dogs. They eat some of it. and they feed some of it to the other dogs.
This is way worse than the cannibal story.
I mean, I feel it's
far
pretty
sadder.
equal. Yeah, you know. Which I had this thought that, I know this is ridiculous, but like if they were cats, like if you tried to feed a cat, another cat, that cat would just look at you like, fuck you. I'd rather starve. Which makes cats pretty awesome, I think. Well, but then again, our cat did eat poison.
That's true.
So,
that's a story for another time, certainly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of people who would beg to differ on that matter. But so they fed the dog to the dogs?
Yeah.
And they ate? Oh,
and they ate part of the dog as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So eventually all the dogs die. And they're about 100 miles away.
Oh my gosh.
From the hut that they left from. Mertz, so they are now pulling this sledge by hand. Okay, with their bodies. So Mertz says, I can't go any further. He wakes up and he says, today's not my day. I'm sleeping. Like, I'm not going on. And this upsets Mawson, who's like, dude, that's a bad idea. But he writes in his diary that he wants to stay with his friend. Mertz becomes delusional and he starts thrashing about. He is screaming in German. He's knocking the tent pole around.
Yeah.
So Mawson sits on his chest and is restraining him. And in the morning, he's dead.
Oh my gosh.
So we don't know why or how or what was going on there, but he didn't make it.
Right.
At this point, Mawson has lost 2 of his friends.
Yeah.
Just
all
back
the
to back. All of the dogs. He has very little material. He's still 100 miles away.
Oh my gosh.
He buries his friend and he carries out his journey. To make it, he manages to basically take one of the sledges and make it half. So he's cutting the weight down.
Sure.
And he puts what remaining supplies he has in this sled.
Yeah.
Okay, or sledge, whatever. I don't know if there's a difference. I've been using those interchangeably.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, obviously he is having just one hellish of a time.
You don't say.
He walks about 20 miles.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and obviously that takes some time. I think it was 3 days or something like that. He's crossing a snow bridge and he falls. Now, luckily, he was attached to a sledge by a 14-foot rope.
I've heard this story. I'm sorry.
Have you heard it?
Yes. Okay, go on. I heard it in the first grade. I'm not joking.
Man, first grade was good to you.
Man, I know it. I wonder why it turned out so fucking weird.
So he is suspended in the middle of this crevasse, 14 feet.
Oh my God.
Okay, he can't reach the sides.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's contemplating suicide.
Yeah.
He's just maybe I should, rather than just sit here and waste away, I'll just fall and I'll just call it good. He doesn't. I'll mention that during this entire time, he doesn't believe he's going to make it back.
Right.
He writes this in his journal. His hope is that he's going to go till he can't anymore, and then store this journal somewhere.
And then they'll have a record of it.
Maybe.
Right.
That's the thought here.
Okay.
Luckily for him, he tied knots in this 14-foot rope all the way up it.
Wow.
And this is incredible because this guy has not eaten very much food. He's got to be low on energy, low on spirits, right?
The pure adrenaline that must have kind of overcome him and sheer willpower to be able to do this.
So he starts climbing this rope.
Yeah.
And he climbs it 14 feet up, gets to the lip, and the lip breaks.
No! I've heard this story and I'm still surprised. I mean, I heard it years and years and years ago, 20 years ago. Shit.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, sorry.
And then he falls again. And obviously that's a morale crusher right there.
Sure.
Right? You just expended a lot of energy.
Unless you're a total shithead and then you're like, fuck you, I'm getting back up there, I didn't climb 14 goddamn feet. feet to fall back down.
Well, I mean, after all he's been through, though, that's pretty tough.
Oh, that's so... I can't even begin to imagine.
You know, you think he was contemplating suicide before. Now he's really thinking about it.
Yeah.
And he's just like, you know, this is how I die. This is it. And there's a quote that he thought of. And this is a quote that was provided by the video that I watched.
Okay.
But it is, just give one more try. It's dead easy to die. It's the keep on living that's hard.
Ooh.
So this gives him like some,
A little,
I like the hard way. Bring it, right? He's going to go get it.
Yeah.
He goes for it again, and he manages to make it out. And he gets on the surface, and he immediately passes out.
Yeah.
And he wakes up a couple hours later. The new snow that came buried him.
Right.
And he just gets up and he goes on.
Wow.
Okay, so at this point, just to recap, his friend has fallen in a crevasse. One has just got lost to delirium. He fell through a crevasse. He's lost all of his dog teams. He fell twice, really. He got all the way to the top and then he fell again.
Yeah.
I respect how much this is the Grim Reaper's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
This man just continuously says fuck you to death. And I love it.
What movie is that? And they're like, why won't you die?
I don't know.
Somebody
that
knows.
has a ring of familiarity.
Why won't you die?
It's exactly.
Yes.
That's got to be what, whoever's coming to claim that soul is thinking. He just refuses to die.
It's, yeah.
And people's will to survive is incredible. Because I got to be honest.
Amazing.
And I'm comfortable knowing this about myself. Okay. I don't have one. Not a strong, like a really strong, straight willpower to live. No. I would have fallen in that crevasse and I would have pulled my harness.
And I would have grabbed you and I'd be like, not today, motherfucker.
You just, like an eagle, just spawn out of the sky.
Yeah, probably. Because I know that about myself. I do know that about myself, is that when push comes to shove, I'm like, not fucking today.
Good for you. That's
time
amazing.
to fucking bear down and do this shit.
He keeps walking 80 more miles.
Amazing.
For his journey. He decides at this point, there's boils all over his skin.
Yeah.
He decides to take his shoes off and socks off for the first time.
Oh my God, the amount of frostburn. I've seen pictures of this man's feet. I've seen pictures of it. Are there pictures?
Not of his. So there's no pictures from the actual expedition because he lost
something.
He lost all of his equipment. So the only record is his journal and his personal whatever account of it.
Yeah.
So. Basically he takes off his socks and the bottom of his feet come with it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so his flesh is now rotting off. Real bad stuff going on for this guy. As if that weren't enough, he's 5 miles from the hut. 5 miles. 8 days storm rolls in and keeps him trapped in a cave.
Oh yeah, because those winds and you
the
can't see
ice
where you're
and
going because of all the flurries and.
Frank Hurley, our photographer, said you could ice walk with a pickaxe at about up to 80 mile an hour winds, and as soon as beyond that, it would actually blow you on your butt.
Right.
So he's not going anywhere.
No.
So 8 days, he's just chilling in this cave, and he's thinking to himself. They were meant to be back by January 15th, and we're way beyond January 15th.
Sure.
So he's thinking, I hope someone's at the hut.
Right.
And that they just didn't bounce.
Kidding.
Because then he's in all that, it will
deep,
really
deep.
be for naught.
Yeah.
He's just screwed.
That's terrible.
So he ends up walking back to the hut.
Uh-huh.
And luckily, they left 5 people behind to search for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's early February at this point. Okay, and they left out last week in November.
Yeah.
He's been freezing his ass off for a while.
Yeah.
And he gets to this hut, and these men are overjoyed to see him. He missed the boat that would have taken him off of Antarctica and back home by 5 hours.
Oh my God. You're like, wonderful. This is just my luck.
Which means those 7 men, so Mawson included, have to stay for the winter in Antarctica.
With all their supplies gone.
Well, the boat
Sure.
took the other men
Yeah,
home,
okay.
right? And
Yeah.
left them with some stuff. But they have to survive the winter.
Yeah, and you
After
still
you
lost
just
a
went through
bunch
that.
of your supplies, though. I guess was my point.
Oh,
that
yeah.
They lost that whole sleigh
Supplies worth.
supplies.
Yeah. So luckily, like the radio tower, some crap went wrong with the whole radio thing. The winds were too high, and it destroyed their tower. Eventually, somehow, some way, over time, they got this radio tower figured out. He's able to call his fiance and let her know, like, I'm alive, I'm okay. And there's a guy named Sidney Jeffries. This is one of the men that was left behind. He's in charge of operating the radio. He's the only man who knows how to do it. And he goes insane.
Right.
And when I say insane, I mean he thinks that everybody's going to kill him.
Yeah.
And he attempts to kill the people in the hut.
Man.
This guy, Mawson, has just put up with a lot of bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
And then he comes into this hut, his sanctuary.
He says, Sydney, you gotta be fucking shitting me
The
right now.
only guy who can give him contact with the outside world is going fucking nuts.
You just have to convince him that you're his friend. Oh, it's okay. Try it out. Convince him, have him teach you his ways. Then you know how to control it. And then you go insane. And then you're the only one with the controls to the radio.
I like it.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, did you like that whole...
That was a plot twist.
Thank you.
But that's not what happened.
Okay, sure.
That would have been cooler.
Yeah. Well,
Next time, we'll pitch. Next time we're in a survival situation together, we really need to think about what would make a good story.
I got you, boo.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So anyway, he comes and he's like, I already been through so much shit. Sydney, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, they take his ass outside and beat him. No, they don't do that. That's probably what I would have done, is I just would have locked him outside. Some dude's trying to kill me.
Very valuable.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that probably is the only reason they put up with him.
Yeah.
So they put him Jeffries under a 24-hour watch. They're just, nobody takes an eye off him type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, months later, we're talking like, I think October timeframe.
Mm-hmm.
The boat comes back.
Okay.
Everybody gets on the boat and everybody returns home.
Beautiful.
Jeffrey spends the rest of his life in an insane asylum.
Okay.
So he was
that's
truly
fair.
crazy.
Yeah.
And Mawson is, I guess, knighted, is considered a hero.
Ooh.
Now, if you remember our South Pole racers,
Mm-hmm.
one of them died during the expedition.
Mm-hmm.
And because everyone was very in tune with what was going on with them, and to hear of this tragic death and like sort of mourning the loss of that,
Mm-hmm.
his survival story sort of gets, but like not
over,
not so much in the light.
Yeah.
And that's my story. That's what happened.
Good story. Thank you for that. It was really, really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my story is about public transport.
Yes.
Yes.
There's just a treasure trove of public transportation stories.
Man, did you take the bus much when you were younger?
My dad, for like a brief period,
Sure.
gave us bus passes and was like, I'm not really sure what the purpose of him was, maybe just so we knew
okay.
how to get around, or
Yeah.
try to make us understand this is an important part of people's lives. And to be honest, I learned a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
The bus sucks.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah.
And first of all, the people on there generally suck. There's a lot of weirdos is what I mean. Not everybody who rides the bus sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Some cool people ride the bus.
I have a plethora of bus stories, not all of which can I get into today, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
So many. Because I took the bus a lot when I was a really shitty teenager, going places I had no business being, from like 13, 14 years old until probably 18.
Wow.
I took the bus almost every day, and it is a freaking trip. The bus is a real special place.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So this one, I particularly liked this story because I can just perfectly picture the type of person that this was.
I'm ready.
So the story starts: when I was going to school in Milwaukee, I was taking the bus back and forth to campus a few days a week. One day, this guy got on the bus and dropped a bunch of trash on the floor near the driver.
Oh, man. I already don't like this guy.
The driver told him to pick up the trash, and the guy refused. The driver asked him again, and this man became enraged, screaming about how he paid taxes, so he was the boss of the driver.
I love people like that.
Oh, pay taxes. I'm like, you and the fucking rest of the goddamn country, shut up and sit down.
Yeah, and you want to know what I don't do when I board a bus?
Just throw my fucking trash all over the place and treat people like shit.
Because that makes you a piece of shit human being.
You're an asshole if you do that. So sorry. So the driver asks him to calm down and pick up his trash, or he would be asked to get off the bus. The man continued to yell and got louder, pacing back and forth down the aisle of the bus. I honestly thought that we all may die, or at least end up on the news. The man continued to scream and rant with many curse words until the driver pulled over and insisted the man get off the bus or he would be calling the police. And that's the story. And of course, we can all picture the total dipshit. And he probably, like, not that all people who take public transport, like, are not well off, because there certainly are people who are just mindful of, like, their carbon emissions and, like, or prefer to take public transportation to save on costs or whatever.
Especially true of, bigger cities, right? Like,
sure.
New York or Seattle.
And this was in Milwaukee, so I don't really know what Milwaukee's like or what kind of people are taking the...
It's big enough to have an NBA team, so...
Sure.
That tells me it's a big city.
Yeah, so who knows? But in my mind, what I picture is some dude who just works a regular job and probably pays like a regular amount of taxes, just being a dickhead because he can. And so every time I feel like I hear a bus story, I have like this flood of memories come back to me of all the times that I've ridden the bus and all the crazy stories that I have from the bus. But one memory likes to linger around a bit.
Oh, please, please, please share.
I will.
This is a personal story.
It is a personal
story. This is
story.
exciting.
I know.
This is the first time.
Yeah, it is.
On the podcast.
It is the first personal story that I'm telling on the podcast. And I mean, it's not like, oh, I shit my pants or something or like stupid like that. But it is definitely one of those things where it's like, when you get your food at a restaurant and your server is like, enjoy your meal. And you're like, you too. And you're like, oh my God, why?
Yeah. And I love that the people who are most polite about it, when you do that, you both know that you just screwed up.
Oh, yeah, big time. You're
right?
Like, fuck.
And so...
and then what do you say? Like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. I meant like you also have like... I thought you were going to say have a good day. So like you too have a good time working. I hope you're off soon. Are you getting paid enough? Like what?
Like, you have an equally good experience as I will have enjoying this meal.
When you do get to eat, I hope you also like your food.
Yeah, that's more likely how you would try to say that, right? Enjoy your meal. Yes. They look at you funny when you get off work.
Yes. So my bus story is that one time I was probably 15 years old, and I'm standing at the bus stop on the north side of town, and I see the bus coming, and I'm always just like such an anxious person that I really like to be prepared. So I'm getting my bus pass out. I'm making sure that it's like facing the right way so that when I step onto the bus, like
it all goes smooth.
It all goes smooth. I'm going to get to my seat before the bus starts moving because I don't want to fall on my face. Like there's all these thoughts going through my head, and I'm watching the bus pull up, and it has a light blinking. It has a light that is like kind of blinking,
right,
coming up. So I board the bus, and I felt like I just had to let this bus driver know. Oh God. I had to let this bus driver know that one of his front brake lights was out. Oh my God. And he looked at me very confused, and I said, yeah, and I elaborated on how his front brake light was out, and that only the one on the passenger side was kind of like blinking. And I
turn signal?
And this is a full bus of people. This is a full bus of people. And so I sat down, and I felt really good about like, you know, I'm glad I did my part and let this bus driver know that happened. And at some point, I realized that vehicles don't have front brake lights, okay? They have blinkers. And that's why one of them was blinking. And I have not forgotten about this. To this day, it's been at least 10 years, and I'm just appalled at my own stupidity sometimes.
Oh, man.
So
that's your blonde moment.
Man.
Oh, man. That is good.
Thank you.
Bus driver is probably like, what the freak is this woman talking about?
Bless her freaking heart, this poor child.
Because, like, if someone said to me...
I think he might have said it, and I was like, no, dude, your front brake light.
He's like, you mean my blinker?
Yeah.
That flashing light to indicate that I'm turning?
So embarrassing.
Like, if he said front brake light, immediately I'd be like, you must mean headlight. You know.
No, I think he said that. He might have said that.
My headlights are out?
No.
No. There's a blinking light on the road.
And I was adamant. Like, I remember saying multiple times, like, no, you're a brake light. And
well, here's the thing is like, there's two things that I think really make this story real special. Okay. And that is the amount of anxiousness you had boarding, making sure your pass is right. I'm going to get to my seat as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And then to basically fall right on your face with this just really just absent-minded comment is hilarious. And I knew you when you were 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Or 14 and, you know, in your younger years. And you had quite a bit of spunk.
Oh, yeah.
You did. You were very, what's the word you would use to describe?
I don't know. I didn't feel spunky.
Oh, man. You were very like, let me just tell you, right?
I was trying to be helpful.
I could see you, though, like at first being helpful. And then as he argues, you're like, no. The front brake light.
He's the stupid one. Yeah. I'm just making a fool out of myself.
You just sit down and wallow in self-pity.
Man, to this day, like it haunts me. That was the first thing that came up when I heard like a bus story. And I was like, oh yeah, that one time. Remember that, Jenna? And I'm like, sure fucking do. Please let it go.
Please.
It's like when your sibling has a real embarrassing story on you and they're like, I remember that one time.
And you're like, shut the
And I'm like, shut the, but it's myself. It's my own head. And I'm like, can you fucking please leave me alone?
Oh, I see.
So that's my best story.
Well, thank you for sharing that one. That was a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
And I will now make fun of you for all of time.
Please do not. Do not. I will.
You're going to pull up in the driveway and be like, hey, is your front brake out?
You're a dick.
That front brake light was blinking as you pulled in.
That's almost as good as have you seen those videos of parents sending their kids in to get blinker fluid?
I was just thinking about that.
I need to do that to one of my kids to get rid of my own shame.
Yeah. Bury it in theirs. Well, it gives you good ammo for if they ever tried to use an embarrassing moment against you. So
yeah.
Plot now.
I think that's it for our stories tonight. I'm going to go ahead and skip the lighthearted connection stuff because I think that we've gotten pretty far in our episode today, but I would love to end on something small that we're like grateful for.
Okay. Would you like me to go first?
Yes, please.
So I received a gift today.
You did?
From a different coworker.
Oh.
Yes. Which was extremely nice. And he put some, he ordered it. It's a D&D Essentials kit. It's been a long time since I've played D&D, and so I need to refresh myself on. And I'm not I probably never learned the right way to play. So anyway, but he left a note explaining like what to do, and he put some personal things into it. So that was really nice.
That's really cool.
That was really cool. So I'm hoping to set up a consistent gaming schedule with him, which we'll talk about outside of the podcast.
Sure. That's awesome. That's really exciting.
Do you have one? Come on, hit me. Give me a lighthearted.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know if you knew this.
What?
But I recently got a Nintendo Switch.
I did know because okay, I don't know if you know this, but Nintendo Switches. So first I should mention, I purchased this Nintendo Switch for you because you're an angel.
Thank you.
There's a Nintendo Switch crisis going on, you guys. You can't find one anywhere. I know because I looked everywhere.
And I'm the luckiest.
But they had one in stock at, unfortunately, Walmart. Okay, not a big fan of the Walmarts. Sure. I have to be honest, but it was the only one in stock, and it was the one furthest away. And so I sped there to get this Switch. And then I brought it back, and now I have lost my girlfriend to Animal Crossing.
I love it. I love Animal Crossing. It's so much fun. I really love my Switch, and I really appreciate you getting that for me. Thank you.
Of course.
So that's it for me. Now, if you've enjoyed these stories today, that's wonderful. I'm glad. So happy to hear it. It'd be even cooler. I bet you would enjoy it even more if maybe we were telling your story.
Absolutely. Please send us in some stories.
Send us in some stories. And you may wonder, well, how do I get you guys to tell my story? Well, let me just tell you that you can just email in your stories. You can email in your stories to us. Your stories can be emailed into, listen to this, listen closely, sweatingpalmspod@gmail.com. One more time, what was that? sweatingpalmspod@gmail.com. Wow. You're telling me I could just email in my story and you'll tell it. Abso-fucking-lutely we will.
Yes.
Absolutely. We are looking forward to hearing your stories. Any sort of sweating palm stories. You got a cute love story that's like super gushy and fucking disgusting. I want to hear it.
We are happy to keep you anonymous as well.
If you want to be anonymous, stay anonymous. That's wonderful. You have some really embarrassing story about that one time that your pants, when you were 14 years old and you were wearing a thong. That never happened to me.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it did. I could tell. I'm looking at you. It did. Another story for another time, I suppose.
Another story, another time. You want to tell that story? Tell it. If you want to follow us, if you're so interested in seeing maybe some cute penguin photos or other episode related photos, you can find us on Twitter at sweating_palms. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Sweating Palms Pod. If you are enjoying listening and you care to further support this podcast, you can donate to Patreon, also at Sweating Palms Podcast or Pod. Definitely type in Sweating Palms. We should show up.
Yes.
Yeah, I tried it today. We show up. We have poll questions. You can donate as little as $1 a month. If you do, we will support you greatly. We'll give you a shout out on the air. Is there anything I'm missing?
I don't think so, except that you can find us on, of course, any of the regular platforms. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Those are the big ones. What am I missing?
Those are the big ones. We're going to be on iHeartRadio by the time that this episode airs. And anywhere else that you listen to podcasts, that's where we'll be. We have full episodes out on YouTube. That's where the follow us on YouTube's at Sweating Palms Pod comes in.
Yes.
And I think that's it. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful Friday. If you guys are listening, we have new episodes every Friday.
Au revoir.